What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khamzat Chimaev's coach wants middleweight title fight next. Khamzat Chimaev has been on an absolute tear in the octagon. Although his run has been somewhat controversial, if you take his recent UFC 279 weigh-in debacle out of the equation, he's been consistently dominant throughout his career. Despite that, he's been left without an opponent going into the new year. The way he tells it, nobody wants to fight him. He recently spoke during an interview where he targeted a March return to action, but he could not name a potential opponent. One of the many men Chimaev has beefed with in the last few months is middleweight kingpin Alex Pereira, who recently captured the belt by defeating Israel Adesanya. Fresh off the victory, the former two-division Glory champion found himself in the crosshairs of Chimaev. Pereira was even willing to fight Chimaev on short notice at light heavyweight. However, a bout, unsurprisingly, never materialized. Despite that, Chimaev's camp seems to be holding out hope of negotiating a fight between the streaking Chechen and the Brazilian middleweight champion. His coach spoke during a vlog about what's next for Chimaev, saying,
Middleweight. For the belt, I would like that. That's an amazing fight. But we can fight at 77, there's no problem. There's no problem at all. There is no problem at all. It's just good preparation, good warning for if we're gonna go drop a lot down in weight, then we need time, and it's done. Not this 5 weeks or 4 weeks preparation thing, because it's not doable at that time.
As fans have been quick to point out, the bout between Diaz and Chimaev was reported by ESPN on July 19th, with the fight date being September 10th. That gave Chimaev just over 7 weeks to prepare and make weight. Given that he couldn't make weight for that fight, do you think the UFC will wind up booking him a middleweight fight next? Give us your prediction on what's next for Chimaev in the comment section below. Forrest Griffin finds a new role in Dana White's Power Slap League. UFC Hall of Famer Forrest Griffin has officially found himself a new role with UFC President Dana White's Power Slap League. The controversial competition has seemingly received little interest from fans. However, that hasn't stopped the UFC boss from signing a deal to bring Power Slap League to TBS. With the competition set to kick off on January 11th, more details about the format and the personnel have continued to surface. In addition to several notable MMA referees, viewers may also recognize Forrest Griffin, who is set to be a quote, head catcher for the competition. According to the former light heavyweight champion, it'll be his job to prevent competitors from hitting their heads when they fall to the ground. He spoke to TMZ about the role, saying, and the importance of avoiding a second blow to an already concussed competitor. That double impact, you've taken the first trauma, and when your head hits the ground, bang bang, both sides of your brain actually bounce against your skull. We want to prevent that and make it just the initial impact and have that be what causes you or not causes you to win or lose the competition. With how much controversy Dana White's Power Slap League has drawn, it'll be interesting to see whether or not the competition catches on. Just recently, former two-division UFC champion Conor McGregor revealed that he was becoming increasingly interested in the spectacle. While calling for a showdown with Nate Diaz under the Power Slap rules, he recently revealed his intentions to attend one of the events live. With the kickoff event just weeks away, we want to hear from you. Will you be tuning in to Power Slap League when it premieres? Give us your thoughts in the comments section below. Belal Muhammad opened a street fight with Leon Edwards. Belal Muhammad has unfinished business with Leon Edwards, and he's ready to square off with him in a street fight to settle it. When Muhammad and Edwards squared off in a highly anticipated showdown back in 2021, an eye poke early in the second round saw the fight ruled a no contest. After the fight, a clearly frustrated Muhammad shared further photos and videos of his eye, calling for an immediate rematch so he and Edwards could settle things. A rematch never ended up materializing, and both men were booked for separate fights at UFC 263, where Muhammad defeated Damian Maia and Edwards defeated Nate Diaz. After Rocky picked up his shocking 5th round KO win over Kamaru Usman, Muhammad was calling for a title shot, hoping to settle the unfinished business between the two. With the UFC eager to book a trilogy fight between Edwards and Usman next year, Muhammad has seemingly become the odd man out. During a recent interview, he revealed that there are only 2 fights that make sense for him.
So I think the only thing that really makes sense now is me against Leon for the title. Otherwise, you can put me and Chimaev on the same card in London, and I'll fight him at 179.8 or whatever he came at, and then we could do that for a number 1 contender fight.
With plans to be cage-side for UFC 286 in London, Muhammad said he's open to being the fill-in fighter for the card. In addition, If he and Edwards see each other on the street, he'll be ready. With Muhammad being fresh off a big TKO win over Sean Brady at UFC 280, he's positioned himself just shy of a title fight. Currently, he sits in the number 4 spot on the UFC's official welterweight ladder. Just ahead of him is Khamzat Chimaev in the number 3 spot and Colby Covington in the number 2 spot. If the UFC does wind up booking a trilogy bout between Edwards and Usman, Muhammad could very well wind up stepping in and fighting Colby Covington in the number 1 contender fight. What do you want to see? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Kevin Lee calls out Khamzat Chimaev for potential return to the UFC. Former UFC fighter Kevin Lee is seemingly looking for a way back into the octagon. After a frustrating stretch that saw him go 1-4 in his last 5 fights, Lee was released by the UFC. In his first fight outside of the promotion, he matched up with Diego Sanchez under Khabib Nurmagomedov's Eagle FC banner, where he earned a unanimous decision win. Without a fight on the schedule, Lee took to Twitter to respond allegations that nobody is willing to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Although he was never offered the fight, Lee revealed he'd be willing to return to the UFC for a fight with Chimaev. Interestingly enough, despite Lee signing a multi-fight deal with Eagle FC, there's been little movement on his next fight. The promotion has reportedly been forced to suspend activities in the United States. Although several events have been held abroad, Lee has not signed to return to the cage. At one point in time, he was considered one of the hottest young prospects in the UFC, going 9-2 early in his career before losing to Tony Ferguson in 2017. After his failed bid for the interim lightweight title, Lee's career took a turn for the worse, as he then went 2-4 during his final stint with the UFC. Although it seems highly unlikely that the UFC will re-sign him, a short-notice fight with Chimaev could be just the thing that Motown phenom needs to get his foot back in the door. Do you think there's any chance that the UFC takes him up on his offer? And now for our breaking news story of the day. Tracy Cortez vows to return stronger after being pulled from upcoming fight. Fight fans have been anxiously clamoring for news regarding the return of Tracy Cortez, who has been absent from the octagon since her UFC 274 win over Melissa Gatto back in May. With a 10-fight win streak to her name, Cortez seemed poised for a potential run at the belt. However, after she was recently pulled from a showdown with Amanda Ribas, fight fans became concerned. Some speculated that she could be pregnant. However, as she revealed on Instagram this week, she's been going through some mental health struggles. While revealing that she's not in a good place physically or mentally, Cortez also told fans that she had no clue when she would be returning to the octagon. "I keep getting asked when I'm going to be scheduled for another fight, and in all honesty, I don't know. But I will be back, strong, better, and with a purpose far greater than I've ever had before. I don't quit. I've never been one to give up. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I've been fighting with battles in life since I could remember, and this is just another stage in life that I will come out victorious in." As the number 13th ranked women's flyweight, Cortez's impressive 10-fight win streak sees her teetering on the verge of making a run at title contention in the new year. With no word on when she'll be returning to the octagon, it'll be interesting to see if the division passes her by or if she's able to return to continue her climb up the 125-pound ladder in the new year. Stay tuned for updates as they become available. Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.